Turner Field in Atlanta, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Friday Night Baseball is presented by Jeep. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com today. By Aruba Tourism. Hop a direct flight to Aruba, the island with the most sunny days in the Caribbean. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By River Spring Health, family of care solutions, live forward. And by Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. Well, this isn't just any Friday night. It's a day of remembrance. A day not just for baseball, but for remembering those heroes who perished 14 years ago in the attacks of 9/11. And both teams celebrating those first responders during batting practice tonight. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Turner Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight. We remember the 14th anniversary of 9/11. We'll have much more later as the Mets play the second game of their four-game series against the Atlanta Braves. The Mets have been going great guns offensively, top offensive team in the National League over the last 7 weeks. But they've got a couple of concerns right now with the two left-hand hitters near the top of the lineup, Daniel Murphy and Lucas Duda, both trying to work their way back into form with some troubling injuries.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised tonight, and we'll start with Daniel Murphy. He's got the left quad injury. That is he retweaked that. He tried to play and did play in Washington, but I think it noticeably affected his at-bats. Sat out the first night here. I was a bit surprised. With Kelly Johnson in the ball club now, he could play. He's playing a very good baseball, hitting the ball, getting clutch hits. I thought that maybe Terry Collins would give Murph a little time with the 7.5 game lead. But you know, it's a fine line. It's a double-edged sword. These next 7 games with 3 weeks left in the season, it's very important that you put the pedal down. So Daniel's going to be out there. And Duda, of course, has the back. He's been on the DL, so he's day-to-day also. But he seems to be okay, and he needs at bat. So I have no issue with Lucas Duda.
Lucas 2 for 10 since returning from the disabled list. Well, with all the innings limitations facing Matt Harvey and Noah Syndergaard and the possibility of skipping Jacob deGrom coming down the stretch, Steven Matz's starts have taken on an added importance. This will be just the 4th start of his big league career, but he could be a very important player for the Mets down the stretch into the postseason.
Well, he developed a blister in his last start in Miami. Remember, he came back after the long spell out on the disabled list and in rehab in AAA. I thought he was a little bit nervous. He was a little bit off on his control. It was unfortunate that he got the blister, but they wouldn't have run him out here today if that blister was fine. He needs innings, and he's probably going to be in the starting 4 in postseason.
He'll face fellow rookie Matt Wisler tonight. Wisler made his major league debut against the Mets in June. Looked great. He hasn't been so good lately.
Well, his first debut against the Mets, he beat them. It put through a fine ball game, but you can see his last 7 starts, 0-5 in that ERA. He has really struggled. Hopefully the Mets can take advantage of that.
Much better weather tonight in Atlanta, Georgia's capital, looking fine on a Friday night. It's the Mets and Braves, all the action on SNY. by State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cauley of Glendale. Contact Pat at patcauley.com. And by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. He could go all the way.
Oh, you're so diverse.
Friday, October 2nd is Free Shirt Friday at Citi Field with the Mets take on the Washington Nationals. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets Know Your Roots t-shirt courtesy of Alphaderm and Nylabone. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free Shirt Fridays. Your Mets Power Pitchers of the Week brought to you by East Coast Power and Gas, and only the Pittsburgh Pirates have had a higher average fastball velocity in the National League this season than the New York Metropolitans. From Friday Night Lights to Friday Night Baseball, it's the Mets and Braves. First pitch is coming right up. All the heroes of 9/11/2001. A nice video tribute. You know, the Braves, of course, were the first opponent at Shea Stadium when the Mets returned from 9/11, and they did a nice remembrance of that night from September 21st back in 2001. Very nicely and tastefully handled here in Atlanta. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup tonight, and as Keith mentioned, both Murphy and Duda are in there. David Wright had the night off also last night. He's back in there, as is Travis d'Arnaud. Ruben Tejada gets a spot start at shortstop, and that's the unit the Mets will send out against rookie right-hander Matt Whistler.
Well, the 22-year-old came over from San Diego, and you see his Toyota numbers right there.
First pitch to Curtis Granderson is outside, and we're underway. Granderson, over the last 4 games, 4 hits and 7 walks, so he's been on base 11 of his last 19 plate appearances.
Well, he's really taken to the leadoff role in this Met ball club.
Granderson has now drawn 78 walks this year. There's Steven Matz coming in from his warm-ups.
And Dan Warthen's back in uniform.
Nice to see that. Whistler handles the comebacker, makes the underhand toss for the first out of the night. Dan spent last night in a local hospital with what was described as a rapid heartbeat, a racing heart they called it, but it resolved on its own. They said he's perfectly fine and he's feeling well and good to go today.
Well, those pitchers can give you headaches,
especially the lefties.
So very good to see Dan back and healthy.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now NYN AT Cespedes, who took an 0 for last night, went 0 for 4 and a walk.
A rare 0 for.
Cespedes, 37 games as a Met, 36 RBIs. He takes a fastball. Ball 1 from Whistler. Cespedes playing center field tonight. Daniel Murphy on deck. Ball and a strike to Cespedes.
And we got the Dayglow lime on, or what do you want to call that color that Cespedes has decided to wear on his right forearm.
It's the parakeet color that became so popular when the parakeet lit
canary
on the backstop screen. Of course it was a canary, but for the story it's a parakeet.
Okay. There's Daniel hitting third tonight.
Two 2-1 to Cespedes, and Whistler fires a strike on the outside corner, and it's 2-2.
Well, first 7 starts, he started out 5-1, set the house on fire. Next 7 starts, not so good.
Well, that very first start was here June 19th against the Mets. He went 8 innings, allowed a run on 6 hits, a 5-1 Atlanta win, and he was off and running. Well, things have not gone well lately for the 22-year-old. And a good breaking ball to strike out Cespedes for the second out.
Very good breaking ball. Not a strike, but real sharp. And a quick look at the Bravo defense, brought to you by Coors Light, of course. Nick Swisher, the American leaguer over here. Michael Bourne back. Markakis, another American leaguer. This team's been transformed. Simmons not having the great year, but still awesome with the glove at shortstop. And Bethancourt back in the lineup today.
Daniel Murphy 0 for his last 14. He pinch hit last night and flied out in his only at bat. And he grounds one through the hole, a base hit for Murphy. And that snaps the 0 for 14. Just found the space between Freeman and Castro for the first hit of the night.
You know, and Gary, in the open, I raised my concerns over Daniel's quad, the back leg. When he drives out of that box after a base hit, all that thrust is coming on the legs when your first 2 initial steps out of the box. He's going to have to be very careful. It's not going to do his team any good getting hurt again. And just take it easy. Get your at-bats, get your rhythm back.
Now David Wright, who sat last night, his 13th game since coming off the disabled list. And David takes a fastball for a strike, and Whistler throwing hard early in this game. Whistler from Bryan, Ohio. He was all set to go to Ohio State before the Padres drafted him in the 7th round of 2011. He signed. He was a Padre farmhand until April the 5th, when he came in the Craig Kimbrell deal from San Diego. Bethancourt thinking about throwing. It trickles behind him, but Murph with the bad wheels not going to take any chances. A ball and a strike. Bethancourt has been an enormous disappointment for the Braves this year. He came with the reputation of being a great defensive catcher, and not only has he not hit, but his defense has been extremely suspect.
Yes. A lot of the same kind of physique as Sandy Alomar Jr. Very tall, 6'2". He hasn't hit, and a lot of times you find out a lot of players, they can't separate their offense from their defense, and maybe that's the case with Bethancourt, because he was really highly touted as a glove.
Spent 2 months in the minor leagues this year, got recalled in late August. A.J. Pierzynski, fortunately for the Braves, took the job and ran with it and has had a terrific year, but they need for their future for Bethancourt to be effective, and they're still hoping he will. Half swing, and Wright stopped it in time. Chris Siegel, the young umpire at first, makes the call, and it's 2-2. Whistler faced the Nationals twice this last week. He started against them, got knocked out in the second. Then they brought him back 3 days later in relief, and he had 2 scoreless innings. And they're hoping that'll get him back on the beam. Wright hits one down the right field line. Markakis coming over near the sidewall, but he runs out of room.
There's Lucas, and David looks like he's trying to go to right field. Last 2 swings. I think a pitcher would be able to recognize that. Let alone a catcher and a pitching coach.
Got a whole team of people trying to figure out.
Observers. They're coming in now.
And David takes strike 3 call. Late call by Todd Titchener, but he punches out Whistler. Second strikeout in the opening inning for Whistler. No score as Steven Matz takes them out. The start at second base tonight. Adonis Garcia at third. Christian Bethancourt behind the plate. The changes from last night for Freddie Gonzalez's team. We've lost 21 of their last 24 as they face Steven Matz.
Well, I love the stuff of Steven Matz. First 2 ball games he threw before he got hurt. John, I've said it before, but it's just John Matlack stuff. Hard curveball, hard fastball, good command, and he's also got a circle change to go with it.
And the number 32 that John Matlack wore proudly as a Met. Nick Markakis leads off. Markakis 0 for 4 last night, third in the National League in hits with 160. And Matz misses outside for ball 1.
Matz really struggled his start back in Miami. I thought he was amped up and just had trouble with command of his fastball, if you recall, Garrett.
Still, the final line looked pretty good. He went 5 1/3, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 6, left after 81 pitches because of a blister on his middle finger. The training staff did a great job taking care of that blister. And Steven appears to be throwing free and easy, and he said during his bullpen session this week he had no trouble at all with the finger. There's Daniel Castro on deck, and then Freddie Freeman for the Braves. Through his first 3 big league starts, left-hand hitters have just 1 hit against Steven Matz in 12 at bats. So Freddie Gonzalez is put as many right-hand bats as he can in the lineup tonight, but he keeps Markakis and Freeman in, and that just missed. Full count to Markakis, who I think was ready to walk away.
Well, David got called out on a called third strike to end the top of the first.
3-2 to the leadoff hitter, and Markakis bounces one for Murphy. Nice easy hop, and he throws out Markakis one away.
And we'll take a look at your defense, your Metsy defense, brought to you by Lexus. That's been against the right-handers. That's your outfield. There's nothing new there. On the infield, however, Tejada's been flip-flopping with Flores. He's in. Murph, keep an eye on him. Duda back in the lineup, needs at-bats. David needs at-bats for that matter. So you got d'Arnaud back in the lineup, who's doing terrific.
There's Daniel Castro, 43 big league at-bats for the rookie second baseman, just 22 years old. Played 112 games in AA, AAA this year. Hit .295, no home runs, so no power from Castro. Grounds one foul outside third, 0-2. Jace Peterson has been the regular second baseman for the Braves. Castro getting the start against the lefty. Freddie Freeman waiting on deck. 0-2 from Matz, and it's lined the other way, and Castro has a base hit. An 0-2 changeup, and took it the other way for the Braves' first hit.
0-2 changeup up in the strike zone. When you get it up, you get no sink. Nice hitting by the youngster.
So 1 out and 1 on. And now Freeman. Freddie went 1 for 3 last night. Freeman's always handled lefties pretty well. His numbers are a little bit down against lefties this year. .232 with only 1 of his 16 home runs against left-handers. And Matz turns him around. Freddie's a lifetime .255 hitter against lefties.
Very strong. Another guy with not a classic swing, a little bit peculiar swing, but it works for him, obviously.
That's misses with a curveball, so you wonder, coming off the blister, probably more about the curveball than anything else.
Yes.
In terms of putting pressure on that finger.
They have come, they know what to do with blisters. I mean, blisters have been in the game forever, so there's lots of product in that trainer's room to get the skin hardened up.
What I was surprised about, we were talking about how they were dealing with the blister, and back in the 60s when Nolan Ryan first had problems with the blister when he was with the Mets, they used pickle brine to try and toughen up the skin, and apparently they've gone back to a brine-like substance to help healing now, so nothing really changes, right?
What good old-fashioned remedies, huh? I know when I get blisters, when I used to get blisters in spring training gear, at one time I had a really bad blister on my fingers, and they didn't pop the blister. They got a needle and injected me with a solution, and it hardened up.
3-2 and 1 out. The runner goes, and Freeman walks, and the Braves have 2 men on. So Matz has given up a single and a walk.
That's the only time that ever did that to me. I was very interested. So they filled it basically. It was already had fluid, and they popped a hole in it, drained it, then they inserted the needle and injected the whatever the solution was, and it acted as a hardener of the skin underneath, because that skin's very tender.
Now I think they're more inclined to do a lot of filing to keep the blister down. Here's Adonis Garcia. Sorry, Keith.
Oh, that's okay.
And Matz gets that curveball over, but he's certainly struggling with that pitch early.
Well, he's trying to get his rhythm back, and he's in the big leagues. It's different than pitching in AAA.
Garcia smacks one, and Duda with a great pickup gets the out at second. No play at first. That ball was smashed the other way, and Duda able to snow cone it and get the force on Freeman for the second out.
Well, Lucas hesitated to throw to second, like he didn't. Maybe he thought he didn't have it. But this is a heck of a play here. Ball's ripped in between Hop, and then you see, oh, he had a hard time getting it out of the exchange there. And Tejada, here we go, nice play.
Plenty of time to get Freeman, who had to hold up.
Throw right on the line, just make sure a one, and Tejada wisely eats it.
I don't think Matz ever got off the mound to cover it, did he? So first and third and 2 out, and now Nick Swisher. Switch hitter batting right-handed, and takes the fastball for a strike. Swisher coming over in the trade from Cleveland in early August, along with Michael Bourne. The deal to send Chris Johnson to the Indians. Hit better as a Brave than he did in Cleveland. 260 with Atlanta, 225 overall.
Oh, here's the play by Lucas again, and this all gets lost in the Mets' resurgence here and charge to the lead in the National League East. They have, yeah, you can see he didn't have a handle on it.
Curveball lofted to left center. Cespedes coming over with Conforto, and Cespedes makes the grab and gets matched through the opening inning unscathed. After one, Mets and Braves, no score. Struck out 2 in the first inning. He'll take on Lucas Duda to lead off the second. Duda, Darno, and Conforto for the Mets. Meanwhile, Washington beginning their series in Miami tonight. No score in the bottom of the third. That's Gio Gonzalez against Jared Cozart.
And that's a 7:30 start here in Atlanta on Friday.
Drilled into center field, a base hit for Duda. The first pitch that Lucas sees, a fastball from Whistler, and he has the Mets' second hit. Well, Matt Whistler has struggled getting the leadoff hitter out. Yes. And that's not an easy way to navigate when they get on almost 44% of the time leading off an inning. Major league average when a batter reaches base leading off an inning is the team scores 51% of the time. When they don't get on, when the first man doesn't get on, 15% of the time. So it's an enormous
piece for any pitcher, as d'Arnaud yanks one foul. And in Duda's case, he jumped on the first pitch, which is something that Lucas has not always done. So you wonder whether the Mets game planned against Whistler, whether he tends to make that first pitch a cookie.
Well, he's got 31 walks in 74 and a third, so that's not great. So you think you might be inclined maybe to want to go deeper in the count with him, but I never disagree with someone attacking first pitch.
I just wonder if because of all that walks, he has a tendency to try and get ahead and put something near the middle of the plate.
And I always felt that I could first ball fastball hit off of a pitcher that had a lot of walks. Never let him get ahead with a fastball.
0-2 to d'Arnaud with Conforto on deck. Travis had the night off last night. Kevin Plawecki had a big night, driving in 3. Betancourt knocks that ball down.
A little late moving
He's
there.
such a big guy, Keith.
Yep. He's like Sandy Alomar Jr. Tom Howler is another guy that comes to mind. Was a big, tall catcher.
Charles Johnson with the Marlins.
Charles was that tall?
Yeah, he's a big guy. And he was a great blocker of the baseball. Breaking ball fouled off. Earl Williams, who won a Rookie of the Year award here in Atlanta, was a tall catcher.
One of my former colleagues was a tall, slender catcher, Fran Healy.
Yes, he was. Francis Xavier Healy. You know, he caught 2 no-hitters. Steve Busby.
That's right.
One and 2 to d'Arnaud. And he got a piece of that fastball.
d'Arnaud looks like he hasn't figured out Whistler here. He's really been swinging the bat great. Maybe his motion, he's not picking him up. See what adjustments he makes.
You know, it's interesting. Whistler, we mentioned, beat the Mets in his debut. That was almost 3 months ago. There are only 3 Mets in the lineup tonight who faced him in that game back in June. d'Arnaud hits one out to right center. Chasing in the gap is Bourne. And he gets there to make the running catch. And back to first base goes Duda. That ball kept carrying out to right center, but these are big gaps at Turner Field, and Bourne used that gap to run it down.
390 gaps to be precise in right center field. It's a long way. The gaps in old the Astrodome were 396. And that was a big 340 down the line. It's just ridiculous.
Here's Michael Conforto, 0 for 4 last night, and Michael's just 1 for his last 14, so he's cooled down a tad.
Well, it's a lot better night weather-wise than yesterday.
Well, last night about this time we were afraid we were going to be swept away.
Afraid we were going to play a day-night doubleheader.
But the Mets used the late hour to their advantage, sent the old guy to the mound, and it all worked out just fine. Colon was brilliant again last night, pitching, hitting, fielding.
I was on the bus, the last bus coming over, the 4 o'clock bus, and it was just Madge, myself, and Sandy Alderson. I sat behind Sandy. I said, tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, "Do you think 2 years ago when you signed an over 40-year-old pitcher that you'd get probably 31, 32 wins out of him?" And he said, "No."
He's paid enormous dividends, and you know, there was a time 2 months ago when it looked like Bartolo had hit a wall, and that maybe his expiration date had arrived. But Reports of his demise turned out to be greatly exaggerated.
It's called second wind.
Conforto pulls one through the hole, a base hit.
Duda goes to second. He'll pull in there. So the Mets have a couple of men on.
Conforto continues to do extremely well. Has a good idea at the plate. He's had an offer last night. He always bounces back after an offer. Good hitting. You know how much I like this guy's swing.
So 2 on and 1 out. Now Ruben Tejada. Ruben came off the bench last night for defense, got an at bat and flied out deep to left. The starts are getting more and more sparse for Tejada. Even in John Neese's last start, Tejada did not get the call. Plan had been that with Neese, a ground ball pitcher on the mound, Tejada would start more. So most of Ruben's appearances over the last couple of weeks have been for defense. The most popular way to follow the Mets' push to the postseason is with MLB.com at Bat, their #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet now. Tejada at the plate. Steven Matz on deck. Duda at second. Conforto at first and 1 out. And Ruben swings at the fastball. Sinker by Whistler, and it's 0-2.
Well, the Mets are 5-2 on this road trip. Remember, they opened it up. They lost 2 out of 3 in Miami. Swept the Nationals in a huge series, and looking to take advantage of a 4-game set here on the road with a very much team in rebuild mode in the Atlanta Braves.
Remember when there was so much conversation about the Mets' inability to win on the road? Since July 1st, the Mets are 23-11 on the road, and they're now just 3 games under 500 away from Citi Field for the season. Quite a contrast with the first half of the year. Tejada goes down swinging on the breaking ball, and Whistler has his 3rd strikeout.
Well, one after the bad breaking ball set up by the fastball in. Yeah, you're right. 34-37 the Mets on the road this year, and if they win the final 3 games in this road trip, obviously they go home with a 500 record on the road, which is a tremendous comeback for them because they didn't play well on the road first half.
Now it's Matz, who had an historic first game at the bat, but his last one in Miami he went 0 for 2. Pickoff try, and Duda gets the hand back in. Simmons flashed over. That's 3 for 8 to start his big league career with 5 runs batted in, 4 of those, and all the hits came in his first start against the Reds. Two on and 2 out. Curveball misses inside, ball 1.
Looks like our young rookie over there at first base, Mr. Conforto, is following the lead of star center fielder Cespedes. He's got the orange on, a little two-tone, orange and blue.
Fans are true to the orange and blue.
I heard that.
That's hit hard. Simmons though able to make the stop.
That gets the force. The Gold Glover handling that bullet off the bat of Matz, and that's the only thing that gets Whistler through the inning. Mr. Matz can hit. those who lost their lives or who lost loved ones on September 11, 2001. We pay tribute to them and to the men and women who serve our country as we honor a pledge made 14 years ago today. We shall not forget. Home second inning in Atlanta. Andrelton Simmons will lead off against Steven Matz. Matz did all he could to drive that ball by Andrelton Simmons to end the top of the inning, but it took Simmons' Gold Glove to stop it.
Platinum.
He may not win the Gold Glove this year, you know.
May not is right.
Danny Echeverria's had a great year in Miami. It'll be very interesting to see how that vote goes. Echeverria's been sitting lately with a hamstring injury. Simmons hitting at .262 at a good night last night. He tries to drop down a bunt and fouls it off. Simmons has had a great year hitting against the Mets. 23 hits this year in 47 at bats. That's a .489 average, which is the best average for any players at 20 at bats against the Mets this year. That's ahead 0-2, and he busts him inside. All that information was presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. So now you know. Bethancourt on deck, and then Michael Bourne for the Braves in the second. Matz worked around a single and a walk in the first inning. Got a nice defensive play made by Lucas Duda behind him. And again, he comes inside on Simmons. 2-2. We're in the bottom of the fourth in Miami. Nationals and Marlins still no score. Bethancourt on deck.
They started a half hour earlier.
2-2. And the curveball bounced slowly. Tejada circles in and throws out Simmons, one away.
Seems like Matz right now, it's only the first batter in the second inning, getting a little more acclimated. A little better command with his fastball. We watched him in between innings after that first inning he pitched. He was very fidgety when we were in commercial break in the dugout. He's a fidgety kind of guy when he pitches. But I look for him to breathe. I want to see him take deep breaths and relax. I mean, he's got a chance to be in the starting rotation here. He knows he's in the middle of a pennant race for a young 22-year-old.
Well, he's the one guy, other than Colon, that they don't have to worry about his innings coming down the stretch of the season because he had the nearly 2-month break with the lat injury. His innings are not a concern. Bethancourt reaches, fouls off the changeup. 0-2.
Yeah, I would think he's one of the guys that they want to pitch. If they're going to go to the 6-man rotation, he's going to be chomping at the bit to get out there.
Mets are in a 6-man rotation now.
Good pitch.
Ooh. Syndergaard will rejoin the rotation tomorrow night. Neese goes on Sunday. Logan Verrett will take Matt Harvey's spot on Monday, and then DeGrom. And then back to Colon. 1-2 coming. Struck him out with a fastball. Blew it by him at 95. First strikeout of the night for Steven Matz.
Fastball's coming around this inning too, Garrett. What I see, the first inning I thought he was kind of not throwing as hard as he can. Now he's starting to get in a groove.
Matt struck out 6 in Miami in his last start, and believe it or not, he became the first Mets pitcher to strike out at least 6 batters in each of his first 3 big league starts. There's Michael Bourne, and he chops one to the right side. Duda goes to play and then bobbles in and loses the play. Well, it's probably a ball Lucas should have let Murphy have in the first place.
And that might be why he made the error. You're sitting there going, gosh, you get caught in between.
And the other piece was that Matz was slow getting off the mound, as he was in the first inning when Duda got the force at second. And that might have been of concern to him as well.
See, that's when you use one hand. And we'll see Matz off the mound here. Nah, he broke right away. He had him beat.
It's just tough for lefties.
It is.
They're going in the wrong direction. Sound like a right-hand batter coming out of the batter's box isn't going in the right direction when he swings. So it's an error, allowing Bourne to reach. And now Whistler is 1 for 21 at the plate this year. Not a situation where you would expect Bourne to steal a base with the pitcher up and 2 out. Don't want to get caught and have the pitcher lead off the next inning.
Definitely not.
Which is really troubling when you put a base stealer in the 8th spot in the batting order.
Agreed.
I mean, that's a place where I would almost understand hitting the pitcher 8th and batting Bourne 9th, so that if he does get aboard, he does have a chance to steal a base. Two and one to Whistler. I know that the Reds have done that at times with Billy Hamilton this year, batted him 9th.
Certainly the Mets have done the same thing, that's for sure.
Except they don't have a legit base stealer. So. And Bourne does take off, got a huge jump and makes it easily. So I guess that's the circumstance in which you'll run, where you know you're going to make it. You got an enormous jump against Matt.
Well, he just said, I'm going to take the chance that he's not coming over, and he breaks from the belt. I'm going to go. And when you guess right, and you can run a little bit, there's no one going to throw you out.
17th of the year for Bourne, who's had 2 60+ stolen base seasons in his career. 2-2 to Whistler, and that just missed inside. Full count.
Notice how Matz throws inside. He throws inside a lot to right-hand hitters. I love it.
Well, he's 3-2 on the opposing pitcher. And Tejada scoops up the grounder and throws on Whistler to retire the side. An error and 1 left after 2. Mets and Braves no score. Self-access to Mets 2015 postseason tickets. Purchase tickets online at Mets.com/deposits. Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Coors Light. And you might not have known that this was a thing, but the Mets have scored 3 or more runs in 24 straight road games, and since 1900 there have been only 2 longer streaks in the National League. That doesn't sound like a big deal, right? 3 or more runs, 24 straight road games.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, consecutive though, you know.
That's right. So the Mets have had that level of consistency, and that's why their road record's a lot better than it was earlier in the season. As we're not scoring at all on the road over the first 2.5, 3 months.
They weren't scoring anywhere except early. They were playing great at home.
Right. They had that 13-3 start, that great homestand at the beginning of the season.
Then they got quicksand. Couldn't get out.
Cespedes on deck. Murphy behind him. 2-1 to Granderson leading off the third. And it's outside, and Whistler falls behind 3-1. Whistler's walked 3.8 per 9 innings through his first 15 big league appearances, and Granderson's been drawing a ton of walks.
And he hits that one deep down the right field line.
Not by much. He scalded that one.
So Whistler takes a deep breath and throws the 3-2. And Granderson fouls it off. Whistler's also given up 12 home runs in 76 innings this year, so vulnerable to the walk and the long ball. Bad combination.
He gave up 4 in one ball game to the Cubs this year.
And there's the walk to Granderson. It's 8 walks in the last 5 games for Curtis, and
79 on the year, Gary.
And 69 of those have come from the first spot in the batting order, which is only one off the major league lead. Next, Fowler has 70 for the Cubs. So the Mets have the leadoff man on for the second straight inning. First walk given up by Whistler. And now Cespedes has struck out his first time up.
He was going to command a lot of money in the offseason, Gary.
Well, as his heroics compound upon themselves, it's almost like compound interest.
I mean, he's doing all the negotiating for his agent right now.
Doesn't have to do any talking but with his bat.
Drilled to center field. Bourne chasing back, and this one gets over his head. Hops up against the wall. It's in play. Granderson turns third. He heads home. The relay by Castro to the plate. Not in time. It's an RBI double for Yoenis Cespedes. And another 0. It's 1-0 New York. 38th double, 75th extra base hit of the year for Cespedes.
My goodness, he can hit some bolts to right center field, the right side of the outfield. RBI number 37 in the 30. This is the 37th game he started. What's that bat doing there? Granderson can get hurt. That is the on-deck circle. Granderson well read. You weren't sure, because you thought that Bourne might catch it. But someone's got to get that bat out of his way and get hurt. That's the on-deck circle's job. That is just infuriating to me. It's not, it doesn't take much to grab the bat and get it out of the way.
So the Mets have the early lead, and now here's Murphy, who snuck a base hit through the right side his first time up. Cespedes at second and nobody out, and Bethancourt and Whistler will talk it over.
Well, here's the relay home. Everything's done perfectly, just too much speed. And there's the bat. Look at Curtis. He's got to worry about a bat.
Fortunately, he was able to avoid it, slide straight in, score the run.
Aren't you taught those things in Little League?
Murphy gets on the breaking ball and lifts it to right. Markakis measuring it. Cespedes tagging. Markakis back on his heels as Cespedes easily goes to third.
Well, good at bat for Murph there, advancing the runner. Mets just continue to do little things. I know they made an error in this game, but it's always overshadowed defense. They played well in the field. They played fundamentally sound on the bases. They're doing everything right, winning baseball.
So with Cespedes at third and 1 out, the Braves will bring their infield in for David Wright. David took a call, third strike his first time up. Meanwhile, in Miami, the Marlins got a run off Gio Gonzalez in the 4th. Marlins 1, Nationals 0 going to the 5th. takes the breaking ball down for ball one. Here's the Marlins lead.
Marlins are game. They're not. They haven't checked out of the season.
Well, we saw that last weekend when they took 2 of 3 from the Mets, both in walk-off fashion. David pops one foul. Freeman coming over right to the railing, and he's got just enough room to grab it. And David unable to get the run home. 2 out.
Not quite Ike Davis-esque, but he still made the play.
No flip required. Knew exactly how much room he had. Tapped the railing with his mitt. So 2 out, and it's left to Duda, who scalded a base hit to center field his first time up on the first pitch he saw from Whistler. Mets have a run home here in the third. Cespedes at third and 2 out. Duda takes the pitch down for ball one.
Well, Lucas's year has been hot and cold.
Well, this is a good guy to get hot against. The lefties are hitting .340 against Whistler this year. Duda, though, was 0 for 4 against them first time around. They're going to walk him intentionally and pitch to Travis d'Arnaud.
Wow.
That'll give you an idea how little confidence Freddie Gonzalez has in Whistler's ability to get a left-hand hitter out right now.
A bit odd this early in the ball game.
Because you're bringing up a guy who's been swinging an awfully good bat in d'Arnaud.
You've got Lucas, who's a strikeout guy that can be pitched to, obviously, and you've got a line drive hitter up here now. That's a good 2-strike hitter and a tough strikeout.
And d'Arnaud gave one a pretty good ride to right center his first time up. That Bourne ran down in the gap. And we'll see how the strategy pays off for the Braves. Cespedes at third. Duda at first with 2 down. d'Arnaud trying to get himself settled. Whistler was ready to go, and
what is this?
d'Arnaud got time from Todd Tichenor, and now time asked for by the catcher Bethancourt. That's on him, he says. Asking for time is an issue in the National League this week with the Joey Votto tantrum after he wasn't granted time, and now Bethancourt and Whistler not on the same page. There's no runner at second, so it's not like they need a complicated set of signs.
One's fastball. What do you think? 2 Garrett's a curves.
Usually 3 would be a slider, and then the 4 with the wiggle would be the changeup. Sunday on an all-new Mets Insider. It's an exciting time to be a Mets fan and player. From the newest members to the face of the franchise, get an inside look at how the team is flourishing during their push to the postseason on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 12:30, only on SNY. Well, they decided on the slider, and it missed.
And what I've seen from Whistler right now, and I've seen enough, is he's inconsistent with his slider. He misses in the dirt a lot. Make him get that pitch up, and if you don't swing at it, you'll be hitting in the hitter's count, and you'll get that fastball.
First and third and 2 out, and d'Arnaud pops it foul. Ball and a strike. Travis over the last 16 games hitting .368 with power.
He's a good hitter, there's no doubt about it.
His slugging percentage coming into the night, .556. That's the highest on the team, including Cespedes, for the full season. And the fastball for a strike, 1-2. City probables tomorrow. Noah Syndergaard after missing a start against fellow rookie Williams Perez. Sunday, John Neese against another rookie, Ryan Weber.
And I'm sure Noah would love to get into the double digits on his rookie year in wins.
d'Arnaud takes the breaking ball out to right. Markakis drifts over into foul ground and makes the catch in front of the railing to retire the side. Mets settle for just the 1 run on the Cespedes RBI double. Cespedes cashing a run. What else is new? Mets lead 1-0 in the 3rd. Home run leader at Turner Field, which opened for baseball in 1997. Now, I know that David Wright has hit 19 home runs at Turner Field, but I also know that he doesn't have the lead. Turner Field, which will close after next season as the Braves move into their new ballpark up in Cobb County. Second time through the order for Steven Matz in the home 3rd. Nick Markakis, who grounded out his first time, and he takes a curveball for ball 1. Markakis, Castro, and Freeman for the Braves. The Braves are the lowest scoring team in the National League now, a title the Mets had 7 weeks ago. But the Mets over those 7 weeks have been the highest scoring team in the National League. And the Braves have dropped to the bottom. And Matz gets ahead 1-2.
Matz has got excellent control for a 22-year-old kid.
Ward Melville High School out in East Setauket, where as a high schooler he competed against a kid who might have been a little better known in his high school days, Marcus Stroman, who tomorrow night will make his return to action for the Toronto Blue Jays. Scolded over the bag, a base hit for Markakis, chased by Conforto, backhands it nicely and holds Markakis to a single.
Well, Conforto does a nice job, prevents a double. This could have had leadoff double written all over it. He just continues to make all the plays, Gary. You know, he just has an accurate arm.
Nothing flashy about him, but he has been solid. And you're right, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but it's very accurate.
It's fine for left field.
So the second hit against Matz, this one comes leading off the inning. Now Daniel Castro had the first hit, a single to right field, and he tries to push a bunt and fouls it off d'Arnaud. Castro looks like he's the classic small ball #2 hitter from the Felix Millan days.
Either 2 or he's an 8 hitter.
But a guy who's going to bunt, hit the ball the other way, no power. An old days 2 hitter as opposed to the modern 2 hitter like Cespedes.
Yes. with new sabermetrics 2-hitter, your big gun, as opposed to your, like you said, Felix Leon, Ted Sizemore,
Jay Bell.
Yes,
before he was a home run hit.
Double play ball right at Tejada.
Tough pickup. Murphy with a turn, and they get the double play. That was not executed well by Tejada, but it worked out for him.
He almost booted it because of the one hand here. There's no need to come in and feel the ball off the side of your body. I can see him wanting to rush in. The ball's hit hard. A, you're fielding off the left side of your body, not good. And two, B, one-handed, and it almost popped out.
He was fortunate that ball hit right off the heel of the glove, and fortunate the ball popped right back to him.
And you see a lot of that today, and it's one bad hop.
And it's not necessary. It's not like you had a speed burner going down to first base.
There you go. Right, he hit the heel of his glove. So very fortunate.
1-1 to Freeman, who walked his first time up. They've gone to the bottom of the 5th in Miami. Still Marlins 1, Nationals nothing.
Nice. Where's that?
Titcher to the home plate umpire. 2-1 to Freeman. Another curveball hit down to first. Duda handles it, and that retires the side. After getting a run to work with, Matz shuts down the Braves. 1-0 Mets after 3. For civil and human rights, commemorating many of the key figures and achievements of the civil rights and the broader human rights movement. Just opened last year here in Atlanta. Definitely worth a visit. Michael Conforto leads off in the 4th inning. Michael had a base hit his first time up. Mets cashed a run in the 3rd. A leadoff walk to Granderson. Cespedes drove him home with a double to right center, and that's where we stand. 1-0 Mets in the 4th. A strike to Conforto. Ruben Tejada on deck, and then the pitcher spot. We noted Whistler's tendency to allow leadoff hitters in innings to get on base. Mets have gotten the leadoff man on 2 innings out of 3.
And one of those innings, the runner scored.
Fastball on the outside corner, and he gets ahead of Conforto 1-2.
So whenever I see the number 30, Gary, and Conforto sporting that number, I think of Orlando Cepeda with the Giants.
That was Nolan Ryan's number as a Met. That's where I go first.
Out to right center field, perfectly placed, and it drops in for a base hit.
Didn't hit all that hard and had a little air under it, but it split Warren and Markakis and settled onto the grass, and Conforto has his second hit, and Whistler continues to have trouble getting that first batter out.
Good breaking ball, down and in, nicely stroked by Conforto. He seems unaffected in this pennant race. He's got some big hits, made a big play defensively in Washington to end an eighth inning threat.
Do you think Cliff Floyd will get upset with me that I didn't say that he was the first guy who came to mind as number 30 in the Mets uniform?
Well, if he is, you'll hear about it.
Oh yeah. Here's Ruben Tejada, who struck out his first time up.
Cliff's perfect right there at MLB. In those gap fests. He's perfect.
When he was in the Mets clubhouse, he was as entertaining a presence as the Mets have ever had. Now, Juan Uribe may be giving him a run for his money these days, but Cliff is right at the top. Pulled outside third. 0-1 to Tejada, who struck out his first time up. And when the Mets had Cliff and Mike Cameron at the same time, well, that was a show you couldn't miss on a daily basis. And the best part of Cliff was the hard time that he gave young David Wright, making him carry his bags and fetch him his meals.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a little over the top.
He treated David like the ultimate caddy.
Plebe.
Yes.
Toward the middle of the diamond, but Simmons flashes over the flip to Castro, and they turn the double play. 6-4-3, 2 out.
Simmons makes that play look routine.
Well, it was for him. And most major leaguers. Beautiful feed. Nice slide into second base by Conforto.
So 2 out and nobody on, and Matz will have to do it on his own.
Comes in hard and clean. Very nice. That's right. This is not a tea party out here. Very good.
If it were, who would play the Mad Hatter? It might have to be you.
Matz hit a hard ground ball into a fielder's choice his first time up.
Yeah, he chops that one foul. When Steven Matz was in high school, he was a first baseman who aspired to be a big league hitter. And he is a big league hitter. It's just that he's a better pitcher.
Yes, no question. He would have been one of those guys that if he didn't make it as a pitcher, they would have given him a shot as a hitter. Usually it's the other way around.
Well, look at Rick Ankiel.
Nice view right there.
Whistler treating him like a hitter. Falls behind him 3-1. And Matz gets under one to center field. Bourne started back with plenty of time to come in. And that retires the side.
Leadoff hit, nobody left. Middle of the fourth, still 1-0 New York.
the candy to himself. He got the gum. Looks like he might have the sunflower seeds. All right, Noah, you can have some. Kevin, you can have some, but I'm taking the rest.
Oh, fun times.
Steven Matz with a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Adonis Garcia will lead off for the Braves. Garcia hit that hot shot to Duda that helped Matz get through the first inning. Duda made a fine play. Stevens given up 2 hits and a walk over the first 3 innings. Struck out only 1. And Garcia takes the curveball down for ball 1.
Just kind of like you mentioned it, Gary. You spotted it early. A little trouble, inconsistency with the breaking ball. He kind of gave away that changeup. You see him slow down his motion. That's not a good thing.
Nick Swisher on deck. Andrelton Simmons behind him. And Garcia takes the fastball inside. 2-1. Adonis Garcia, 30 years old. He was originally signed by the Yankees and spent a couple of years in their farm system, but they released him at the end of spring training this year, and the Braves scooped him up. And he lines one into right field for a leadoff hit. So the second straight inning that Matz has given up a leadoff base hit. So both he and Whistler have had trouble with that first hitter.
Wanted to get it in and missed out over the plate.
So that's 3 hits now against Matz. And here's Nick Swisher, who flied to center his first time up.
Better left-hand hitter than a right-hand hitter. Or was it because he played in Yankee Stadium in that short porch?
Well, that will certainly enhance your left-handed numbers if you have some power, which Swisher does. .244 career home runs, lifetime .251 hitter. A lot of guys with numbers like that have had success at the Yankee Stadium, even the older Yankee Stadium. Think of Greg Nettles.
Bouncer to third. Wright has to reach for it. Cross-body throw gets the force, and the relay by Murphy not quite in time. Nice play by Wright with his momentum going in the wrong direction to get that throw on target to Murphy.
Well, David playing way deep has to run in here and throw on the run. Tough play for Murph.
So Swisher at first with 1 out. And now Andrelton Simmons, who grounded out to short his first time up. The Nationals just tied up the Marlins 1-1 in the 6th on a Wilson Ramos sacrifice fly. Marlins pulled Jared Cozart after 5 scoreless innings. And that came against Barraclough, who looked so difficult to hit when the Mets faced.
The hard throwing Barraclough. Don't you have those for breakfast?
Like the beignets? The Barraclough?
Very good with your coffee and the paper.
Letter high changeup, and it's 1-1. I'm not sure that's where he tends to get that changeup. He has struggled with his secondary pitches tonight. And that fastball just misses 2-1.
Take a look at Matz's motion. He's a big, tall kid, long-legged, pretty straight up, big stride home, and gets his head, everything in front, delivers in front of his body. He's got a beautiful motion. So he's starting to give away his changeup, Garrett. So on the third time this inning, he's slowing down his arm speed. I'm sure that Dan Wartham's going to work on that with him. There's the circle change. Grip.
He's just got such an easy delivery. It looks like he's just playing catch.
It's like everything's fluid. Like he's not putting any extra effort and stress on any part of his body.
Two and two to Simmons with Bethancourt on deck. And Simmons bounces one through the hole, a base hit. Swisher pulls in at second, so the Braves have 2 men on with 1 out.
Right in the hole.
Change up from that.
Another change up, and still a little bit of a tip off. Just a little bit of a difference than in his fastball delivery or his curveball delivery. That was a slight one.
So here's Bethancourt, who struck out his first time up. Swisher at second, Simmons at first, 1 out. 1-0 Mets, 4th inning. Braves are 0 for 3 tonight with runners in scoring position. And Matz throws a fastball right by Bethancourt.
He's got a good arm. Good live fastball.
See the numbers for Bethancourt in AAA. He hit very well there, but hitting just a $190 in the big leagues, and just 132 against left-hand pitchers. And he pops one up foul. That'll come back out of play.
Matz moves the ball in and out of the strike zone well. I love the way he pitches aggressively into right-handers. He's kind of just discarded his curveball this inning, Gary. I don't know why.
Threw one of them to Garcia in that first at bat of the inning, and that's been it. Maybe with all the right-hand hitters up, he's working on that changeup. Here's the 0-2, and that's skied into shallow center. Murphy out to call. Infield fly rule is called, and Murphy squeezes it for the 2nd out.
Came back inside with the fastball. He's sneaky. He's got that lullaby, what I used to call lullaby motion. Lullaby puts you to sleep, and all of a sudden, boom, the ball's on top of you.
I mean, Tom Glavine threw that way, but Tom topped out at 90 miles an hour in his best days.
Tom did not, well,
but he had the same
days.
Kind of easy delivery.
Yes, a lot of guys, I can tell you a lot of guys just like put you to sleep, and then all of a sudden, boom, the ball's there. It's on top of you.
So 2 out and 2 on. Now Michael Bourne, who reached on Duda's error his first time up. And the curveball sits inside.
It's a 4-seam grip. Catcher's time.
And now Matt's behind 2-0. The pitcher Whistler on deck.
Playing the pull on the infield. David Way up in the out in the hole. Tejada up the middle.
Here's a strike. 2-1.
He can zero in on that outside corner to the lefties, and I'm talking about Matz, of course, and to a right-hander inside corner. He's got, that's his zone, boy. He can lay it in there.
And Bourne chops the curveball foul, and now it's 2-2. Pitcher Whistler would be next.
Matz is sweating a lot out there.
It's not an overly warm Atlanta night. Temperature in the 70s. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Bourne. He chops that fastball foul. Bourne came over from Cleveland in August. He has really struggled as a Brave. He wasn't having a great year in Cleveland. He's hitting .176 since joining Atlanta.
One more year in his contract, Gary?
Yeah.
Oh, a hanger right there.
I remember how badly the Mets wanted to sign Michael Bourne. And in retrospect, awfully fortunate that didn't happen.
Very pleased. I wasn't real happy. I didn't feel very strongly about the Gomez trade. I wasn't overly overjoyed about that. When it fell through, I wasn't exactly depressed.
Again, the 2-2. Again, foul. Well, think about it. If they sign Bourne, there's no Lagares. If they trade for Gomez, there's no Cespedes. Sometimes, you have to get lucky. And the Mets.
I did not want Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce, a strikeout guy, all or nothing guy, left-hand pull hitter, big right field and Citi Field. I just thought he did not fit. Was not a good fit.
Well, whether by design or by happenstance, Sandy Alderson has constructed a winning ball club.
Yes, he has, and a lot of over the years he's been here, he's brought people here piece by piece.
8th pitch of the at bat to Bourne, and the curveball missed outside. Full count. So that'll be an automatic start for Swisher at second and Simmons at first. Three-two coming, and he walked him to load the bases. Now the pitcher's coming up, but that's that many pitches spent for Matz. A 9-pitch walk to Bourne to load him up. Second walk of the night.
Matz has got a lot of competitive spirit. I've been watching his reactions after base hits, after a walk. He gets a little angry.
So now he has to get Whistler out with the bases loaded and 2 out. Whistler bounced out to short his first time up, and he whacks one right at Murphy. Goes down to a knee to make sure and gets Matz through the inning. 2 hits and a walk, but the Braves leave him loaded after 4. 1-0 New York. They got Bear Bryant's hat, the houndstooth.
Naval.
Got all the uniforms from the various military academies. Oh, and video. Herschel Walker as a Georgia Bulldog.
I remember that play.
Oh, he was so good. Didn't translate as a New Jersey General, I'm afraid.
Georgia Bulldog.
Oh, he was fantastic as a freshman. Herschel Walker. 5th inning, 1-0 New York. Third time around the batting order for the Mets. Hasn't been an airtight performance by Steven Matz, but so far the results have been fine. 4 scoreless innings.
He's struggled and he's fighting through it, much like DeGrom has that ability too. Those are things you look for in a pitcher. At least I do.
Granderson scored the only run of this game after walking his last time up. Granderson's now scored 84 runs this year, which is in the top 7 in the league. Terrific year Curtis has had as the Mets leadoff hitter.
And it didn't start out so good for him. He did not have a good first good 2.5 months. He walked a lot, but now the bat has caught fire.
And the walks have continued.
Yep.
It's got a piece of that Bethancourt couldn't hold. Cespedes on deck. Murphy behind him. The Mets 1 run, 5 hits. The Braves no runs, 4 hits. Whistlers allowed the leadoff man to reach each of the last 3 innings. And now he's gone to a full count on Granderson after getting ahead 0-2.
Curtis gets very, very patient when he gets 2 strikes. He's become it's hard for me to sit here and say a guy with 137 strikeouts is a good 2-strike hitter.
Lifts that one foul. 137 strikeouts, but 79 walks. On base percentage over 360 now. 8th pitch of the at bat from Whistler to Granderson, and he fouls off another one. There's your Fidelis Care 5th inning recap. Mets, despite 6 base runners, 4 scoreless innings. Yoenis Cespedes is driven in the only run with a 3rd inning double. His 37th RBI in 38 games as a Met.
And Granderson finds the hole on the left side. That's a base hit.
With Simmons playing up the middle, Granderson sneaks one through, and for the 4th straight inning, the Mets get the leadoff man on against Whistler.
Sooner or later, you have only capitalized once.
Well, we chronicled this early about Whistler, that leadoff hitters had a .436 on base percentage against him. Tonight, it's been .800, 4 out of 5. Can't live that way for long in this league. So here's Cespedes hit a rocket over Bourne's head in right center to drive in the game's only run. Chases the slider.
He was looking for a fastball to hit a 2-run bomb.
Cespedes with his double tonight now has 75 extra base hits. Only 2 players in the majors have more. Josh Donaldson, who's homered tonight for the Blue Jays, and Nolan Arenado. They each started the night with 77. Cespedes now with 75 extra base hits.
And he takes that one the other way for a single. He'll settle for that.
Rip.
Granderson goes to second.
Another rocket.
Well, he had an off night last night, but 2 bullets tonight for 2 hits for Cespedes.
He loves that ball down, Gary, and he has that ability to drive the ball to the opposite field. He's a natural hitter. Beautiful. That ball's down and away. That's just good hitting.
So 1st and 2nd and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who singled his first time up, then had a productive fly ball out in the 3rd. That's now with 7 hits against Whistler. He's about to throw his 75th pitch of the night. And Murph takes a fastball for a strike.
That's with a chance here to make Whistler pay for getting leadoff men on base. Big opportunity here.
Pulled. Oh, great stop by Freeman. Can the pitcher get there? He can.
Wow.
That is an extraordinary play by Freddie Freeman to rob Murphy of a double and save at least 1 and maybe 2 runs.
That's a double with 2 very fast men on base that had 2 RBI written all over it. What a play by Freeman. Ripped down the line. Up, hop, two. What a great reaction. Whistler was late getting there. If Murph could run, but didn't have the bad leg, he might have beaten him to the bag, because Whistler was slow getting off.
Keith, a play like that may be the only time it's better to be a right-hand throwing first baseman.
What were you looking at? He was spectator. I better get over there. Second and third, though.
If Murph were running a little bit better, he might have beaten that ball out.
You're absolutely right.
Well, the Braves down 1-0 and play the infield back here. Try to choke off a big inning and concede a run on a ground out. Right is 0 for 2. Left a runner at third his last at bat. And Bethancourt stabbing at that pitch.
Boy.
Was he crossed up?
He was crossed up. That's why he's going out there. Oh, boy. Looking for a breaking ball and a stayed straight. Usually you miss those.
Yeah, that's the one you want to avoid. It's not so bad when you're looking fastball and you get the curve, but when you're looking for the local and get the express, somebody can get hurt. Granderson at third, Cespedes at second, and 1 out.
They're in at the corners. Well, now you're sitting 2-0. Boy, you're just sitting in the catbird seat.
There's some stirring in the Atlanta bullpen, but Freddie Gonzalez has got to be awfully reluctant to ever make a sign out there. Matt Marksberry up in the bullpen. Two and one to right. It scored 4 runs in 3 innings off the Atlanta bullpen last night, and that's about the way things have been going for the Braves. So they would like Whistler to hang around and clean up his own mess.
Catcher wanted it in. He wants to go to his breaking ball. Nice lead by Cespedes at second.
With that fastball by right, and it's 2-2.
It's just the little things that Cespedes does here. It's a fastball upstairs that David just swung right through. Middle infielders playing way back, and Cespedes is aware of that. There's no one around him, and he just gets a tremendous lead. At least last pitch. They're leaving him alone. He's the back runner. Well, he's not doing it so much right now. He's too busy talking with Simmons. No one around. Get that good lead.
Full count to right. We got Duda on deck, and now a balk is called.
Wow.
A balk was called on Whistler, and it brings home Granderson, and it's 2-0 New York. I did not see that.
I did not see the balk either. I was focused on the lead of Cespedes.
So that last pitch doesn't count. It's 2-2 to right. The infield now comes in with Cespedes at third and 1 out. And David goes down swinging on the slider for the second out.
David's had 2 chances to drive in run. Let's see what he did here.
He didn't stop.
Yep, that's the correct call.
That's a stop balk, and the third base umpire Tim Welke made the call.
The right call.
So the Mets get a run, but for David Wright, that's twice in a row now. He's left a runner at third with less than 2 out.
0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts.
And this time they're going to walk Duda intentionally, and that was almost a wild pitch. So the first time they threw 2 balls to Duda and then intentionally walked, and this time they're not even going to mess around. And so d'Arnaud will get another chance after the intentional pass.
And we've been passing the praises on Curtis Granderson. Well, he's 1 for 2 today. He's a walk and a single, and he's scored both Met runs.
So rather than bringing the left-hander to face Duda, and Freddie Gonzalez had one ready, he'll Have Whistler intentionally walk him, keep Whistler in the game to face d'Arnaud. And Roger McDowell will go out for a conversation with Whistler before he does.
Well, this is like watching. There's a lot of guys learning on the big league level here. You know, with the expansion of the 4 teams now, it's even when you rebuild, you see a lot of mistakes, a lot of kids learning the hard way.
Well, Whistler got off to a great start. We saw him in his major league debut have a terrific game against the Mets, but he's really hit the skids. 9.49 ERA over his last 7 starts, and just trying to keep it together here in the 5th inning. Already down 2-0. He's retired d'Arnaud twice on fly balls, and he'll get him again with runners at first and third and 2 out. Same situation for Travis as his last at bat when he hit a foul fly that Markakis caught up against the sidewall in right field. We're in the 7th now in Miami. The Nats and Marlins still tied at 1. Cespedes at third, Duda at first with 2 down. That's 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position tonight. And d'Arnaud fouls back the off-speed pitch. Cespedes now in full conversation with Adonis Garcia.
He's very chatty tonight.
I think he and Garcia know each other from Cuba. They're about the same age.
Good breaking ball right there. One of the few from Whistler that he got over. That's what got the scouts' attention. There you go.
Now it's 0-2 to d'Arnaud, and Travis lays off, and Betancourt goes down to block it.
Well,
One-two coming, and d'Arnaud goes down on the high fastball. Nice bounce back from Whistler for his 5th strikeout, but the Mets scratch out a run on a balk and lead 2-0 halfway through. commemorating the 14th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2001, and so many of us who were around then and who experienced that, whether firsthand or vicariously, have very firm memories of where they were and how those tragedies affected them. Nick Markakis leads off the bottom of the 5th, and let's check in with Steve Gelbs for some of those memories. Steve?
Gary, Michael Cuddyer is certainly one of those people. Back in 2001, he was playing Double-A for New Britain in Connecticut, actually, and those first week and a half, I should say, in September, he was the driving force behind New Britain's playoff series victory over Norwich. In Game 1, he had a 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th. And in the clinching Game 4, he had a home run in the 7th inning. Little did he know at the time just how important those home runs would end up being. His teammate, his friend Brad Thomas, who ended up pitching for a few years in the major leagues as well, he had booked a flight from Boston to Los Angeles for September 11th should they have lost that series. That flight was American Airlines Flight 11, the first flight that hit into the World Trade Center. Michael Cuddyer remembers Brad Thomas walking in totally shaken up on that morning, telling Cuddyer basically, "You inadvertently saved my life."
That is quite a story.
Wow. Markakis strikes out. That is a stunning story. Are they still in touch, Steve?
They are. They spoke today. They speak on the anniversary every single year. Actually, Brad Thomas lives in Australia, so it's usually via email or Facebook message. But Cuddyer, it was quite a range of emotions for him that week. Really, not just in that regard, but he actually got called up to the big leagues a few days later as well. Since all air traffic was grounded, he had to drive from New Britain, Connecticut, all the way to Minneapolis. And he said that was the longest drive of his life for a couple of reasons. A, it was actually a long drive, but B, he felt almost guilty about being happy, making his dream come true. He said it was so difficult to be in the moment and try and enjoy finally accomplishing your goal, knowing what was going on in the world.
Yeah, definitely bittersweet.
You know, they had a great video tribute today, remembering the first game back in New York after 9/11. And a lot of people remember that because of the Mike Piazza home run and a lot of the emotions in the ballpark that night. What people don't remember is that the Mets started playing baseball again 3 days earlier in Pittsburgh, where they were scheduled to play on 9/11 before all the games were canceled for a week. And I remember being in the ballpark there and talking to the players and talking to others who, you know, were doing their jobs that night, and nobody wanted to be there. It was as somber a mood in a ballpark as I've ever seen. And I remember sitting there in Pittsburgh in that beautiful ballpark at PNC Park, looking out at the skyline across the river, and all that I could think of, and I think probably everybody else in the crowd that night, was that skyline and what we had lost from our skyline in New York. And I remember trying to call the game, and it was impossible to generate any emotion because of where we were. And you know, by the time we got back to New York 3 days later, it was almost as though a little bit of the trepidation at feeling positive about baseball had lifted. But those first days, those were hard. And I understand what Michael's talking about in terms of feeling guilty about feeling good about something that's happened in his life when something so horrible had happened to the nation.
Well, absolutely.
Castro slugs one to deep left field. Back goes Conforto near the wall, and it's out of here. Daniel Castro, who didn't hit a home run in the minor leagues all year, hits his first major league home run, and he gets the Braves on the board. Well, that came out of nowhere. Castro played 112 games in the minor leagues, his 46th major league at bat, and it's his first home run anywhere this season. So a stunning first run of the game for the Braves cuts the Met lead to 2-1.
And Freeman bangs the next pitch up the middle. And now the Braves have the tying run aboard.
Well, here's the home run from Castro. Fastball in, stayed level on it. And Matz likes to throw those right-handers inside. And they just didn't get it there, and he got it up. Oh, he gets hot. He gets hot.
Fourth home run is allowed in the major leagues. And for Daniel Castro, excuse me, his first major league home run.
Well, I told you Mr. Matz doesn't like to give up hits.
Well, he's given up 6 hits tonight. Now clinging to a 1-run lead with the tying run aboard and 1 out. He'll try and settle himself down to face Adonis Garcia after the visit from Dan Warthen. It's nice to see Dan hale and hearty and feeling good and in the ballpark. Let's see if his counsel helps Matz with Garcia at the plate, and he pops the first pitch up. Tejada takes charge of it, and that's the second out. So Matz trying to labor his way through the inning. We'll take on Nick Swisher with 2 out and a runner at first. Were shy in the bullpen last night and required some of the less used portions of that bullpen, particularly Dario Alvarez, to soak up some outs. Tonight they're a little better fortified. Hansel Robles is still away from the team in the Dominican following the death of his grandfather, but Clippard and Familia, both of whom were off limits last night, both available tonight. As Matz works toward 90 pitches here in the 5th inning. And fastball in for a strike, 1-1. Andrelton Simmons would be next. And Swisher hits one slowly, right on the charge. Side retired. Braves get a run from an unlikely source. Daniel Castro's first big league home run. Mets lead 2-1 after 5. Live for behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Todd Bowles' post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live presented by Toyota Sunday. That's immediately after the Jets-Browns game only on SNY. Michael Conforto leading off in the 6th inning. Mets leading 2-1. Conforto is 2 for 2. And he hits this one deep to center field. Back goes Bourne. Back to the track. Back at the wall. Leaping to make a great catch. A marvelous play by Michael Bourne to take an extra base hit away from Conforto. Well, we saw Freeman make a great play in the last inning. This one even better by Michael Bourne.
Only had a long way to run. The big part of watching, you saw him pick up where the fence was, right at the track, at the lip of the track.
Nobody happier than Matt Whistler. First time Conforto's been retired tonight. It took that to deny him. So one very long out to start the 6th inning. And the Ruben Tejada, who's 0 for 2.
Long way to run. Fence to negotiate. Nice play. And even cushioned himself to take his full back to take the brunt of the collision with the padded fence. So just all around a very, very fine play.
You know, I don't know how many of the younger fans realize that it's only been about 20, maybe 25 years that we've had padded fences in the outfield in Major League Baseball. It used to be you had
cyclone fences. It's Candlestick Park.
Wood.
Yep.
At
Shea.
City Field at Shea Stadium.
Yep.
I remember, I think it was in the early 1990s, the Phillies had an outfielder named Ron Jones who ran into the fence at Shea and wrecked his knee and it ruined his career. And it was at that point that they started padding the fences.
Bobby Valentine.
Well, he had the cyclone fence to deal with.
Yep. And he got caught and gnarled his knee. Ended his career.
I mean, I think back to 73 when Rusty Staub crashed his shoulder into that hard fence at Shea. And
to this day, I don't know how that fence withstood Rusty's the force of Rusty's impact.
Well, what was amazing about that is that he couldn't throw after that.
Right.
And yet he had a great World Series.
Yes, he did.
Swinging the bat, but couldn't even lift his arm. Tejada bangs one toward the middle. Great stop by Castro from his knees, and he got him. What kind of leather are the Braves using tonight? Freeman and Bourne, and now Castro with a brilliant play to throw out Tejada. 2 out.
Rocket. Beautiful backhand. So 2 outs in this inning, both fine plays. That one might have been better than the one from Bourne. This is just a terrific play from a second baseman.
Well, the Braves robbing the Mets regularly these last couple of innings, and Whistler doesn't even know who to thank next. Well, Castro, who provided the home run for the Braves' first run, provides a great play in the field as well. Now Johnny Manel is going to bat for Steven Matz, so Matz's night is done after 5 innings and 89 pitches. Manel's first at bat since being recalled as a September call-up. And a stint with the Mets in mid-season as an extra catcher. Well, Whistler living large and much beholden to his defenders. About to throw his 100th pitch of the night. Manel takes outside 2-1. Dario Alvarez is up in the Mets bullpen, the left-hander, and Eric Goodell looking on as well.
I got to believe it's going to be Goodell coming in, the right-hand hitters in the bottom half of the order.
Manel takes a big cut. 2-2. Well, the Marlins have gone back in front of the Nationals with a run in the bottom of the 7th, 2-1 Miami. Two coming, and Manel takes the breaking ball down. 3-2. Whistler trying to finish off what I'm sure will be his last inning. A better time of it tonight after some really rocky starts lately. 3-2 to Manel. Granderson would be next. And Johnny goes down swinging to end the inning. 6 strikeouts for Whistler. He has a 1-2-3 inning, but it sure wasn't easy. Some great defense by the Braves. Bourne takes an extra base hit away from Conforto. Castro robs Tejada of a hit. And we go to the bottom of the 6th with the Mets still up 2-1. Five innings, allowed a run on 6 hits. Matt Whistler, 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits. So the 2 rookie starters acquitting themselves okay. And now the Mets will go to their bullpen as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Whistler probably done as well. He's due to about 4th in the inning. Up over 100 pitches now. And Eric Goodell, first man out of the bullpen for New York.
Well, this will be his 4th appearance on this road trip. He got the loss in the final game in Miami.
His last outing was Tuesday in Washington and the Mets comeback win. He faced 3 batters, struck out 2 and gave up a double to Jason Worth. Facing Andrelton Simmons leading off in the bottom of the 6th. Simmons 1 for 2, singled his last time up. And Goodell falls behind 2-0.
Goodell fastball, curve, split finger. Starting to see that kind of sprinkle back into the Major League Baseball. It was kind of shunned at because of arm issues. You can get elbow problems throwing it. Forearm.
Rolled to center field, chasing Cespedes way back, and he runs it down. Made it look easy. Cespedes with a terrific defensive play against a Gold Glover in Simmons.
He's good.
Looked like it was nothing.
He can play center. He can play left, and play them well.
So one hard out and nobody on, and now Christian Bethancourt. So with all hands on deck in the Mets bullpen, other than Robles is not here, you figure Goodell for the 6th, Reed for the 7th, Clippard for the 8th, and Familia for the 9th is the game plan for Terry Collins tonight. We'll see if it plays out that way. Gone to the 8th in Miami, 2-1 Marlins.
So Washington's down to their final 6 outs.
7.5 games behind with a magic number of 16 starting the night.
So it would be 14 if it was a 8.5 game lead. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No.
The task at hand, Gary.
Always wise to concentrate on what's in front of you. Bethancourt gets under one to left. Conforto, plenty of room. 2 out. Time for our T-Mobile Data Strong fan photo of the game. Cute. That is terrific. What's the hat on the left? I'm not familiar with
I don't care. That's like a Mom's Mabley hat, isn't it?
Mom's Mabley. Are you dating yourself? The one on the right, that's a Mets cap.
Yes.
That
I am dating myself.
You're carbon dating yourself. Michael Bourne swings over the curveball. Bourne.
I'm into the sedimentary layers of rock with that one.
Michael Bourne has reached on there and drawn a walk. Chase Peterson is out on deck to pinch hit. If Bourne keeps the inning going. And Goodell gets the splitter in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Eric Goodell spent a couple of months on the disabled list. He's had a lot of issues with his elbow over the years, and when they MRI'd his elbow, they didn't know if he had a new injury or an old one, but a little bit of rest got him back on the beam. And they're hoping that elbow stays together through the stretch drive and maybe a role in the postseason.
I think so. You got to figure Torres with the calf is going to be that's a tough one for Carlos.
I mean, you got a lot of players on this team, pitchers and position players, fighting for postseason berths. And Goodell gets Bourne looking with the splitter, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 for Goodell in the bottom of the 6th. Still 2-1 New York. today.
Well, that's how it was yesterday.
Lots of clouds yesterday, not so much tonight.
Menacing clouds.
Braves go to their bullpen, and that's pretty menacing for the Braves. Matt Marksberry, the first man in.
Well, he's the last of the 3 left-handers to pitch in this series. There's 3 on this roster. You see his numbers. They're not good.
But they're good against lefties.
Yes, I can see that.
So they'll come in to face Curtis Granderson, then Cespedes and Murphy. So we'll see whether Freddie Gonzalez mixes and matches here in the 7th.
We hope not.
Well, they've got a side-arming right-hander up in the bullpen.
That would be Peter Moylan, isn't it?
So he's getting ready for Cespedes, I would imagine.
He's been hanging around a long time, hasn't he?
He was hurt for so long. Granderson takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Curtis has scored both runs for the Mets tonight. There's Moylan on the left.
And that's probably McCarrahan
on the right.
So it's a very awkward delivery we see here from Marksberry. Kind of a shover.
Matt Marksberry from Campbell University in North Carolina. You know who the most famous major leaguers from Campbell are?
Tell me.
The Perry brothers, Gaylord and Jim, both went to Campbell when it was Campbell College. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's
where's Campbell now?
That's 529 wins between the 2 Perry brothers.
Yes.
Bowie's Creek, North Carolina.
Right.
And Marksberry strikes out Granderson for the first out. So what do you do if you're Freddie Gonzalez? Do you stay with Marksberry against Cespedes?
Certainly. Well, this is the beauty of the left-right lineup that Terry is able to put out pretty much every day.
Well, you can't argue with the logic here because we've told you the numbers about Cespedes over and over. His numbers against right-handers are much better than his numbers against left-handers. So he will see the lefty here. Cespedes 2 for 3 tonight, a single, a double. He's driven in a run. Ignores the first pitch.
Taking all the way.
For the season, Cespedes 220 against lefties. Those are his numbers as a Met. He's done better as a Met than as a Tiger from against left-handers.
Oops.
And mishandled by Bethancourt, but gets the strike nonetheless.
He missed it, and it hit his top part of his protective part of his shin that protects the top of his foot.
He's been, I mean, we saw him earlier in the year.
Just a lack of concentration.
Yeah. Cespedes drives one out to left, but didn't get all of it, and Swisher's there to grab it. Two out. So Marksberry with a chance for a clean inning as he takes on Daniel Murphy. Murph was robbed of a base hit his last time up, and a beautiful play by Freddie Freeman diving toward the line. Murphy's 1 for 3 on the night. Time asked for, granted. Bethancourt got down into a stance thinking Marksberry might throw a pitch. It's a lot of confusion. Toward the middle of the diamond, and Murphy sneaks one through for his second hit of the night. This is back in the first inning, just to show that Murph's leg is not completely 100%.
Look, check his expression on his face, folks. A little grimace. Watch him, another grimace, and a little bit of a limp. I would pinch run for him, and you got a 1-run lead. Got Kelly Johnson in there for defense.
Marksberry will exit. They'll bring in the right-hander to face David Wright. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mets up 2-1 in the 7th. We'll be right back to Turner Field. The 36-year-old Australian Peter Moylan is in for the Braves.
Boy, Peter's just been banged and battered and just about everything wrong with him over the years.
Labrum, torn rotator cuff, Tommy John surgery, and he's persevered.
And he's one of those guys you're just going to have to tear the uniform off of.
He had 3 years for the Braves in the last decade, 2007, 9, and 10, where he pitched in over 80 games. But he's barely pitched for the last 5 years because he's had so many physical setbacks. Coming in to face right with 2 out and a runner at first. David is 0 for 3. Has had a very rough night at the plate. Each of his last 2 at bats, he had a runner at third and less than 2 out. Couldn't drive him in.
Left them both there. Sacrifice fly situations, strikeout, and a pop up.
Moylan behind him 2-0. Lucas Duda would be next. And David bangs one foul. They've gone to the 9th inning in Miami. A.J. Ramos on for the save try. Marlins 2, Nationals 1.
We will keep an eye on that one for you, folks.
Murphy at first and 2 down. And Wright slams one to short, but Simmons, after a little bobble, able to make the play to retire the side. A hit and 1 left. It's the middle of the 7th. And in commemoration of 9/11, we're going to stay for God Bless America. Let's go to the public address announcer, Casey Motter.
With the singing of God Bless America, performed by Atlanta opera tenor Timothy Miller.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free.
Let us all be grateful for a land so fair,
as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer.
God bless America. America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
The Browns. Updates from Todd Bowles and the latest on the Wilkerson contract extension on the Jets blog, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Addison Rita pitched the 9th inning last night. We'll get the 7th inning tonight.
Well, picked him up just recently to bolster the bullpen, and another guy that's fighting here for a postseason spot.
Jace Peterson will be the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher, leading off in the bottom of the 7th with the Mets up 2-1, and Peterson takes a strike. Peterson started at second base last night, 1 for 3 with a triple, and he walked against Reed in the 9th inning last night. Nick Markakis on deck, then Daniel Castro. I don't know. I hope that everybody listening to this broadcast stuck around for the performance of God Bless America that we just carried with Timothy Miller.
It's beautiful.
That, in all the years that I've heard that song performed, I believe that is the best performance of God Bless America I have ever heard. And apparently Mr. Miller is a regular here in Atlanta at the ballpark to sing that song. And wow, what a What an impressive performance.
Big booming voice, that's for sure. No walks.
Well, he walked Peterson last night. And Peterson fouls back the fastball, 3-2. Final score in Miami: the Marlins 2, the Nationals 1. The Mets' magic number is down to 15, and their lead right now is at 8 games in the National League East.
Nationals have, I think, just been demoralized. They may not finish 500. Wouldn't that be something?
So you can post all your Jerry Grody photos now. The magic number is 15.
Right, briefly, because it could be 14. They had to break out the white tittle.
Well, he wasn't a Met. Come on. At least go with Ken Boyer. He was your guy. 3-2 to Peterson. He goes down on strikes. Fastball by Reed. Takes care of Peterson for the first out in the 7th.
So Mets have an opportunity to go 8.5 up on the Nationals with 21 left. Isn't that a very sweet shot right there, just for you folks at home?
4 straight losses for the Nats, who are now just 2 games over 500 for the season.
There may not be only one team that finishes over 500 in the East, and that would be your Metsies.
Nick Markakis 1 for 3 tonight, single to left back in the 3rd against Steven Matz, who is pitcher of record on the long side. Matz went 5, allowed a run on 6 hits, walked 2, struck out 2. Eric Goodell pitched a 1-2-3 6th, and now Reed working in the 7th. Braves started the night 23.5 games behind the Mets. It's the furthest out of first place that Atlanta has been since 1990, the year before they began their run of 14 consecutive division titles. The year before they got Terry Pendleton. Who was the National League MVP in 1991.
Yeah, and there was who was the other contender? Was it Bonds?
Maybe. When he was still in Pittsburgh.
Was there someone else in Atlanta that had a shot for it too? Because there was a controversy there as to someone else. It could have gone either way in the voting.
Kind of like there's strike 3 called, and Markakis is caught looking, so back-to-back strikeouts for Reed. And they're 2 out. While we investigate that, we'll check out the answer to our Verizon trivia question. All-time opponent's home run leader at Turner Field? Well, not surprisingly, it's Ryan Howard. Who has 2 more than David Wright. Daniel Castro has accounted for the only Atlanta run tonight. He had his first big league home run and his first home run anywhere this year in the 5th inning. And Reed misses with a slider. So Pendleton finished first in the voting, Bonds 2nd, Bonilla 3rd. The closest Brave was Ronnie Gant, who finished 6th. Here's Terry coaching first base for the Braves. So the 2 Pirates finished 2nd and 3rd, and maybe that was it, that they split the vote.
Right. That was good. That Bonds had a terrific year. Was it a close voting, or was it?
It was close between Pendleton and Bonds. Yes.
Now the Pirates won their division, right? They lost to the Braves in the division, the National League, the League Championship Series. Yes, I get confused. That was before the 3 divisions.
Yeah, Pendleton got 12 first place votes. Bonds got 10. And then Bonilla and Brett Butler, who's with the Dodgers, each got one.
And Bonds had 116 RBIs, 25 home runs.
Before he became a
yes,
an inflated power hitter. And Castro takes a call, third strike, and Reed strikes out the side in the 7th.
Very nice.
Terrific inning for Reed. We go to the 8th, 2-1 New York. New Atlanta pitcher Andrew McKirahan will hit second in the order.
Well, McKirahan pitched in the game last night. An inning, gave up one hit. That was in the 8th inning. Gave up the base hit to Flores. You see his numbers, a lot of the 5s and 6s in that bullpen, folks. I think it's evidence before the judge.
Right-hander sitting over 400 against him, so we'll see whether he gets a one-batter affair here or if he gets d'Arnaud in between the two left-hand hitters. Duda, d'Arnaud, Conforto due up for the Mets in the 8th. Duda's been on base 3 times in a row with a single and 2 intentional walks. And both of those intentional walks paid off for Freddie Gonzalez. He was able to get out of the inning by retiring d'Arnaud each time. McKirahan, who was a Rule 5 pick by the Marlins from the Cubs, waived at the end of spring training, picked up by the Braves, and then promptly suspended for 80 games. He was caught in the same net as Henry Mejia. In some odd way for the Braves, that suspension was a blessing because he's a Rule 5 guy, and since he was suspended for half the year, they didn't have to worry about keeping him up for that half of the year. So he's only had to spend the second half of the year with the Braves, and since they're out of the race anyway, no problem with them keeping him all season. Duda grounds one to Peterson, and that's the first out. Well, Tyler Clippard getting ready for the bottom of the 8th, so the formula working fine for the Mets so far. Goodell in the 6th, Reed in the 7th, Clippard's next.
Terry Collins senses victory here and wants to get that 8.5, going for it, and I agree.
d'Arnaud is 0 for 3, flied out twice and struck out, and so McKirahan, against whom the righties are hitting over 400, stays in. So the Mets up 2-1 tonight, and obviously they'd like to get some insurance anyway to try to seal the game. But remember that graphic we showed you earlier tonight about the 24 consecutive road games in which the Mets have scored 3 or more?
Right.
So that streak is on the line these last 2 innings, as well as the game.
Well, a victory is the most important thing.
It's the only important thing. Isn't that what Vince Lombardi said? Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing.
And Al Davis, just win, baby.
And that's hit hard to short. It handcuffed Simmons, but he makes the play. I was thinking about Herman Edwards. You play to win the game.
Okay. Tell you what, Simmons, just to get back on the game, I love your, I would love to go into further depth on this with you.
I think that's as far as we were going to go anyway.
Simmons, by the way, has made some great plays.
Michael Kadire announces a pinch hitter for Conforto, and that will send Freddie Gonzalez out to make a pitching change. So he'll bring in a right-hander to face Kadire. Mets up 2-1 in the 8th. We'll be right back to Turner Field. Wide 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon right here on SNY. Arodys Vizcaino, who's been serving as the Braves closer, comes in here in the 8th.
Well, he's got one of the few. I'm stunned at the ERA. We're so used to seeing it so jacked up, but he's had himself a nice little 24 games with the Braves.
Another guy was suspended for 80 games after being caught with old school steroids. Well, this is Kadire's first at bat since he went down with wrist tendonitis. Got a cortisone shot a few days ago, feeling a little better, and able to get out there tonight for the first time in a week.
So the cortisone shot obviously helped.
I mean, his wrist was so bad in Miami, he could not even close his fist.
And he was starting to hit, too. It was just a shame.
Good breaking ball by Vizcaino, 1-2. Arodys Vizcaino started out in the Yankee organization, traded to Atlanta, then to the Cubs, then back to Atlanta for Tommy La Stella. Kadire bounces one behind the bag. It's a fair ball off the glove of Garcia, and Kadire is safe at first.
That should be ruled a base hit. We'll see what they do here. right down the line. He got a late break on it. Didn't know clank.
It is a base hit for Kadire, and now Eric Young is going to run for Kadire at first. So EY at first base with 2 out, and you can certainly expect him to take off early in the at bat to Tejada, try and get an insurance run into scoring position.
I thought he was going to pinch run Young earlier for Murphy with Daniel's bad quad, and he's going to insert Kelly Johnson at second base.
Young ran for Flores last night and wound up scoring a run using his speed, coming home on a ground out with the infield in. Tejada's 0 for 3. He was robbed of a hit his last time up by Castro, and he lines one in the right for a base hit. Young will go first to third as Markakis gets it in. So Ruben Tejada taking one into right field for a 2-out hit, and the Mets have runners at the corners.
Well, he didn't give Young enough time to steal. First pitch, fastball, stayed level on that belt high fastball. Well done. Duck and run.
Now Kirk Neuenhuis will be the pinch hitter, batting for Addison Reed. Neuenhuis appeared as a pinch hitter last night in the 8th inning and struck out. Mets now with 10 hits on the night, but just the 2 runs. Young at third, Tejada at first, and 2 down.
And it gets away from Bethancourt. Here comes Young to score, and the insurance run is home.
Wow. Like Christian Bethancourt, just a disaster behind the plate. And the Mets tack on a run to go up 3-1.
That's a nice gift. That is just lack of concentration.
This is a kid who was supposed to be state-of-the-art defensively, and he has been awful. I mean, that's a ball you just can't commit a pass ball on with a runner at third.
Those are the kind of pass balls in 13-0 games, Garrett, late. And that gets the Mets in the crowd, Met fans going.
Well, they made themselves heard last night, and they're making some noise tonight now. 3-1 New York, a runner in scoring position for Neuenhuis. And Kirk fouls one off Bethancourt to add injury to insult. Well, you hope he can figure it out because he clearly has the tools back there. But I think you're right, Keith. It's a matter of concentration.
Yeah.
Clearly lacking.
I mean, it's a 2-run game. I mean, a 2-1 ball game, and you got a runner on third. That's when, you really got to focus.
Well, Vizcaino came in with 2 out and nobody on. An infield hit for Kadire. Tejada with a base hit, and then the pass ball bringing in a run. Now Neuenhuis, who had the biggest pinch hit of the year for the Mets on Tuesday in Washington. He takes the curveball in the dirt. 1-2. Although maybe Kelly Johnson's pinch hit home run was just as big. Neuenhuis off Papelbon, Johnson off Strasburg.
Both huge. You don't get there.
2 days in a row.
Yep, it's just everybody's chipping in.
One-two from Vizcaino, and Neuenhuis hits one right at Simmons. Nice easy hop. And that retires the side, but the Mets get an unearned run, a gift on the pass ball. They lead 3-1 going to the bottom of the 8th.
No, we don't. Next time, next year, we'll do it in April.
Ferris wheel guy.
We'll do it in April.
Kirk Neuenhuis stays in the game in left field. Tyler Clippard will take over on the mound as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Clippard, of course, suffered the loss and I guess a blown save. He was in the 8th inning. Gave up the home run to Justin Bour in Miami. Bounced back the other day.
Freddie Freeman fouls one off as we start the bottom of the 8th.
He pitched the 8th inning in that third game in Washington. Gave up a home run there too to Harper, but he was nursing at that time a 2-run lead.
And the night before, the big comeback by the Mets, who pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning in his first game back in D.C.
Right. So a gamer, just a tremendous addition to this ball club, and I don't know where the Mets would be without him. He's very much overshadowed.
Freeman 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. And Clippard blows one by him, and it's 1-2. See the numbers for Freeman against Clippard. Of course, Clippard has faced this team a lot, having been in the National League East with the Nats, and he strikes out Freeman with the changeup.
I think this is a breaking ball, and it is. Good curve right there. See, that third pitch is very effective for Clippard. And when he got hit in Miami, he couldn't get his curveball over, and that extended long at bat to Prado that he had. He tried to throw him 2 curves and couldn't get it over.
Here's Adonis Garcia, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Well, Eric Adell, Addison Reed, and Tyler Clippard have combined to strike out the last 5 Atlanta hitters. 7 up and 7 down for the Mets bullpen so far. 5 more outs to get. Center for a base hit for Garcia. So a 1-out single. First base runner against the Mets bullpen tonight.
Gets a fastball. Too much plate and up.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Nick Swisher, about left-handed for the first time tonight, went 0 for 3 against Steven Matz. Matz went 5, allowed a run on 6 hits. He's in line for his 3rd big league win if the bullpen can get the job done. And Swisher hits one out to center field. Easy for Cespedes. 2 out. Here's the road ahead, brought to you by Buick. Mets have 2 more games here in Atlanta tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon. We're on Pix 11 tomorrow. Then the Mets are back home. A 9-game homestand, 3 with the Marlins, 3 next weekend with the Yankees, and then 3 with these Braves.
Well, the Mets come into this game, and you got to worry about your division first, and they're in the catbird seat for winning the National League East, and an opportunity here to go 8.5 with a W. It's early in Arizona. The Dodgers are losing 4-0. The Dodgers only have a 1.5 lead on the Mets for best record, and the Mets keep pushing it. They can get a better record than LA. They'll have the home field advantage in the playoffs.
Simmons lines one to left. He's got a base hit. Garcia pulls in at second, so now the Braves are the tying runs on base with 2 out.
Off the end of the bat, high changeup. He's up today a little bit, Clippard.
So now Christian Bethancourt, who committed the pass ball that enabled the Mets to stretch their lead, gets a chance to redeem himself at the plate. Bethancourt is 0 for 3 today. Struck out, popped up, flied out. Mets 3 runs, 10 hits. The Braves 1 run, 8 hits. There have been opportunities on both sides that have been bypassed. They've combined to strand 16 base runners. Garcia at second, Simmons at first, and 2 out. And Bethancourt swings through the fastball, 0-1.
Boy, threw that one right by him, Gary.
Braves are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. And Bethancourt fouls one back. And now it's 0-2. Whose booth did that go in? Did that go in Don Sutton's booth?
No, it went above. One more level up above us.
Just going to see if Don still had the good glove work going.
Well, there we are.
There we are, and just to the right.
That silver-haired fellow right there to our right is Don Sutton, the Hall of Fame right-hander, Dodger, Astro, Milwaukee Brewer, California Angel.
0-2. Struck him out. Clippers fans Bethancourt to work out of trouble in the 8th. On to the 9th we go. 3-1 New York.
In the first Met run, second one came in on a balk, the third one came in on a pass ball. Thank you very much. Mets take a 3-1 lead into the 9th. Curtis Granderson, who has scored 2 of those runs, takes a strike from Arodys Vizcaino. Vizcaino gave up an unearned run in the 8th to provide the Mets with insurance, 2 hits and a pass ball. Granderson a walk and a single today, 1 for 3. Takes the off-speed pitch outside, 1-1. Cespedes on deck, Murphy behind him. Familia should be getting ready in the bullpen. There he is. We cannot see into the Mets or the home bullpen from where we sit.
He's going for number 40. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Oh, the Mets got the 3rd run.
That's right. They extended their streak. 25 straight road games now with at least 3 runs. again, Granderson finds himself in a 3-ball count, third time tonight.
He's been great at it. And you know what? It's not taking pitches. He's up there ready to hit. He's just showing a good eye at the plate. There's a difference.
Lifts this one foul off the left side. Garcia right to the railing, but not enough room. Karam doesn't count.
Caught it on the bounce.
Big doings in the National League Central tonight. The Pirates won. Mark Melancon got his 45th save as they beat Milwaukee. The Cubs look like they're about to sweep a doubleheader from the Phillies. They won the afternoon game, and they're up 6-2 in the 7th tonight. 2 Kyle Schwarber home runs. So if the Cubs win that second game, they'll be only 2 games behind the Pirates for that first wild card spot.
That's right.
Meanwhile, the Cardinals, there's ball 4 to Granderson. He's on base for the 3rd time tonight. The Cardinals are in a rain delay in Cincinnati, 2-2 in the 8th. Pirates started the day just 4.5 behind St. Louis, so it could be 3.5 at the end of the night, so things are tightening up. That is 80 walks now for Granderson, including his 2 tonight.
Yes, it is. 85 runs. He's got a chance to score 100 runs, Gary.
Well, the guy at the plate's already scored 95. He drove in the first Met run tonight with a long double in the 3rd. He has a habit of taking all the way on that first pitch.
Yeah, he does.
With pitchers he hasn't seen before.
And he knows what he's doing. There's everything he does up there. I love his philosophy.
Remember, he did that against Drew Storen in that game on Tuesday before he hit the 3-run double. Took all the way, a slider off the plate, and then drilled a fastball that drove in 3 runs. Lays off that breaking ball. 2-0. Daniel Murphy on deck. Vizcaino, the 5th Atlanta pitcher of the night. Starter Matt Wisler went 6, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits. A better outing for him, but he's still on the short end. And Cespedes taking all the way again. It's 3-0.
Give him a hit sign.
Why the heck not?
Let him cut him loose. Oh goodness, 6-0 Arizona over the Dodgers.
Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run.
And a rocket to deep left field. Forget that. How far will it go? An enormous home run off the bat of Yoenis Cespedes. Every day, more doses of extra base magic from Yoenis Cespedes. An enormous 2-run homer, his 33rd of the year, and the Mets now lead 5-1.
Wow.
Green light? You bet.
15th home run as a Met. 39th RBI. 34th run score in 37 games. You look middle in when you're 3-0. If you don't get it, you take, and he got it.
That gives Cespedes 100 runs batted in for the year, including his 39 as a Met. More dividends every day. Pitching change for the Braves. We'll be right back.
Brandon Caniff comes in to face Daniel Murphy after that tremendous 2-run homer off the bat of Yoenis Cespedes stretched the Med lead to 4 runs. You see the numbers on Caniff, who has struggled against left-hand hitters. They're hitting over 400 against him, and he comes in to face the lefty Murphy.
Just astounding what this man is doing. 3-0, looking middle in, no doubt.
It's like every day is home run derby for him. I mean, he just unloads.
I have not seen anything remotely close to this in a stretch run.
He has 3 hits tonight, a single, a double, and a home run. He's driven in 3 runs to give him 100 RBIs for the year, 33 home runs, 76 extra base hits, 96 runs scored. 38 games as a Met, 15 homers, 39 runs batted in.
34 runs scored.
The superlatives just go on and on.
It's just get on my shoulders and it's no big deal. Like Charles Atlas.
It's the greatest stretch drive that I can remember since Carl Yastrzemski.
Okay.
Who single-handedly carried the Red Sox in '67. Murphy hits one deep to center field. Bourne going back. He'll have room. And that's the first out of the inning.
Just incredible performance.
And the dollar signs just keep multiplying.
Hey, his agent's got to.
He doesn't have to say a word.
Just go to my agent and say, hey, 10%, 5.
10% might set you for life. David Wright 0 for 4 tonight. And when you have a guy like Cespedes, it just takes all the pressure off everybody else.
Yep.
I mean, you know, David Wright's had another tough night at the plate. A couple of times unable to get a runner in from third. He hasn't had a ball out of the infield. And it doesn't matter.
When you win, it's like we used to always come in. If he didn't come through, you got to come in. The guy going up to the plate, he picked me up. This guy has not only picked him up, he's picked the whole team up, put it on his shoulders. Just astonishing.
Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night after the post game. Serena Williams goes down. The Giants work a long-term deal with their quarterback, and the Jets get ready for their opener, all on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game. And the borderline strike to right, 3-2. Brandon Caniff making his 33rd big league appearance, rookie right-hander out of Cal State San Bernardino. Garcia waits on the hop and throws on right, 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda 1 for 2 with a pair of intentional walks tonight. I was asking Terry Collins last night about giving players time off now as the lead gets a little bigger, trying to keep people fresh down the stretch. And he said, "No, yeah, I gave Wright and Murphy and Darno the night off last night, and Granderson will probably sit one of the games against the Marlins because they'll be throwing a lefty." And I said, "What about Cespedes?" I said, "Well, that's off the pitcher's foot, but it caroms right to Freeman and they get the out." He said, "Yoenis and I have an arrangement. I ask him if he wants to take a day off. He always says no. I told him, you want a day off, you come to me. Otherwise, you'll be in the lineup every day." Seems like a pretty good plan.
Yes.
In the lineup tonight, and his 3rd hit of the day is a 2-run crusher His 33rd of the year. Going to the Mets up 5-1 going to the bottom of the ninth. Two games out of first place. 3 more outs, and they'll have an 8.5 game lead in the National League East. He may not be solely responsible, but he's carried a lot of the load.
Oh, I think he has a lot to do with what's happened to this Met ball club, amongst others. Another great contributor right here, going for his 40th save. Remember when he started the season? Oh, there's no save opportunity. Excuse me, folks. 4-run lead.
He'll be okay with that.
He'll be fine. Nice little tune-up here. Just run that fastball up there and get the troops inside the clubhouse.
Michael Bourne takes a strike from Familia as we start the bottom of the ninth. Bourne 0 for 2 and a walk. Jace Peterson on deck, then Nick Markakis. Pitcher spot due up 4th in the inning for the Braves. They got the night off last night after a yeoman service in Washington, where he saved all 3 of the Mets come from behind victories. Nationals lost in Miami tonight 2-1, and the Mets trying to reduce their magic number to 14 with a win tonight. That's Gil Hodges, retired, in the dirt. 1 ball 1 strike.
Very good.
But before Gil wore it, Ken Boyer did wear 14 as a Met.
Well, he was 14 as a Cardinal. Right. Steven Matz can go 3-0. The youngster.
That's bullpen has done exactly what was asked of it tonight. Eric Goodell 1-2-3-6. Addison Reed struck out the side in the 7th. Clippard worked around a couple of hits in the 8th. Warren lines one, and Murphy catches one, and that's the first out of the ninth.
A rocket. Great angle to watch this. Just had to move 1 step. Murph sidle to his left.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Jace Peterson bats for the 2nd time. Peterson struck out in the 7th. Stayed in the game at second base. Mets 5 runs, 11 hits. The Braves 1 run and 8 hits. If the Braves don't rally, they will lose for the 22nd time in their last 25 games. And since The down period began on the 8th of July. They will be 14-44. That has fallen off a cliff. 1-1 to Peterson. And the Mets fully happy to take advantage. Mets have beaten up on the National League East all year. Got the best record against their own division of any team in baseball. And you can say it's because there are 3 teams in the division who aren't very good, but everybody's had the same opportunity, including the team directly behind the Mets.
It's been fun to watch, and you never know. This is a good lesson for Met fans. That is, you know, Yogi said it's never over till it's over. I'm in your camp here, folks. In June, in early July, this club was going nowhere. It was going nowhere. We're just saying, here we are. I was thinking we're going to have another second half of meaningless games, and what a difference picking up the deadline was.
Uribe, Johnson, Conforto, Cespedes, Wright, d'Arnaud. That's added half a dozen players, some from the minors, some from the disabled list, and most importantly, that big bat that has carried them over the last 7 weeks, Mr. Cespedes.
We've left d'Arnaud out. d'Arnaud came back about that time, and you got. There he is right there. And, you know, Sandy Alderson made the moves. He made the terrific moves.
Peterson tried to hold, and apparently he did on the slider. 3-2. And Steven Matz, 6 days hence, will get himself another crack at it.
Strike 3 call. Peterson caught looking. 2 men down.
1 out away from 8.5. Good fastball inside. I think home plate umpire Todd Tishner, anything close, it's going to. Oh, that's a strike. Plenty of plate.
You know, I'm thinking with the off day on Thursday, if the Mets stay with 6-man rotation, and the rotation right now is up in the air because there's so many moving pieces, but Matz's next start could be against the Yankees next Friday.
That'd be a good little baptism right there. Get him out there.
And Markakis is 1 for 4. He whacks one toward the gap in left center, and that's down for an extra base hit.
Markakis pulls into second base with a 2-out double, his second hit of the night. And the 10th for the Braves.
Good hitting right there. Markakis coming over here, bigger ballpark, out hitting the home runs. He used to hit in that bandbox in Baltimore, but having himself a nice year.
Now Hector Oliveira will be the pinch hitter. 9 hits for the Braves. Scoreboard says 10, but I'm pretty sure it's only 9. Anyway, Oliveira started last night at third base, went 1 for 4. Familia trying to secure the final out with a 4-run lead. And Oliveira dribbles one. Familia off the mound. And the ball game is over. Jeurys Familia puts on the finishing touches. Another big night for Yoenis Cespedes. Steven Matz gets his 3rd win, and the Mets reduce their magic number to 14 as they win their 5th straight, defeating the Braves 5-1.
Well, 2 heroes of this game. Unsung is Curtis Granderson, 1 for 3. There he is in front. Scored 3 runs tonight, but the big hero drove in 3 for 5. He's done it again. Yoenis Cespedes, just another big bomb, a 2-run shot that iced the game. He drove in the first run for the Mets in the ball game as well, and he just keeps rolling, and that makes that man right there extremely happy.
Mets now have an 8.5 game lead over the Washington Nationals with 21 games left to play. It's getting realer and realer for this team by the night. Here's your Jeep game summary. Steven Matz picking up his 3rd win, 5 innings. Wasn't great, but he was certainly good enough. Yoenis Cespedes gave the Mets the early lead and put on the capper with a monster 2-run homer to give him 33 homers and 100 RBIs for the year. And there are your standings up to date in the National League East, with the Mets expanding their lead to 8.5. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit NorthshoreLIJ.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $200,000. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com today. By Cure Auto, 25 years of saving you money. Cure Auto Insurance, drive well. By Heineken, open your world. By DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. And by Toyota, see where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Final score tonight, the Mets 5 and the Braves 1. Mets will go for their 6th straight win tomorrow night. Next SNY telecast will be on Sunday. John Neese will start the final game of the series. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock. Our game tomorrow is on Pix 11, with coverage beginning at 6:30. Now for Keith Hernandez, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen in Atlanta. Time for WB Mason Post Game Live. Let's join Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa.